that I love. This is a Rose Maltina. The Tina we got in Norway a number of years ago. And this was one of the pieces that took a blue ribbon towards my gold medal at Vesterheim. But anyway, the finish is lovely to touch, and it doesn't look like poured plastic. And this is satin polyurethane varnish. It is, I think there was about 4 coats of the satin polyurethane varnish applied with a synthetic brush and then allowed to cure. I allowed it to cure several days, up to about a week would be good. And I did something to it, which I would like to demonstrate for you right now. Since that's already done, I'll get another piece and start that finish on this piece. Let me move this out of your way. So this is a piece that I have varnished 4 or 5 coats. I think there's about 4 of the satin varnish, one right after another as soon as one coat is dry. Then I just set it aside and let it dry for several days. And when it feels good and dry, no coolness, no dampness, no stickiness, when it's good and dry, it's ready to do what I call a hand-rubbed finish. I take a container and put into it some satin varnish. I probably have about a ½ ounce, a good ½ ounce of satin varnish here. Now I'm going to take some Flow Medium. This is the old label. I don't have the new yet. Flow Medium, a product that helps the paint to flow out smoothly. I'm going to put about an equal amount of Flow Medium into this. It's not rocket science. You don't have to be real careful. I'm going to use this old varnish brush that I was using for an earlier demo. Stir it up well. Stir it up well. Mix it up. So this is satin varnish and Flow Medium, about 1 to 1. And this will work with all the other varnishes the same way. Now be sure you label. Be sure you label what it is. And I'm going to take the piece, give a surface a nice covering coat of the mix. And I work one surface at a time. Work one surface at a time. I'm going to take an old piece of scrubby. This was like an old 3M old scrubber that you'd use on your pots and pans. And I like to use it till it's soft like this. And then I start rubbing before this dries. I start rubbing and I go back and forth, up and down, around, and I rub it with a light pressure at first, and I watch the painting to make sure nothing bad is happening. I'm not lifting anywhere or taking it off, so I'm being careful. And then I'll increase my pressure to a medium pressure. You know, you're not scrubbing the kitchen sink here. You're scrubbing a painting. And I need to tip it so I can watch it as it dries. And I'm going to scrub it. As I see it drying, I'll lighten the pressure but I still am going around and around, up and down, back and forth. Now this is going to change the satin varnish to almost a matte, but it is going to give it the most beautiful satiny feel. When it is dry, there it is dry, dried fast under the lights. When it is dry, it feels just like slipper satin, and it is not as shiny, if I can get it there to you, as the edges. Let me do one more surface for you. So it is satin varnish and flow medium, 1:1, about 1:1. And you put on a nice, fairly liberal coat. You pick up your scrubby and you rub it. And this is what I call a traditional rubbed, hand-rubbed finish, because it is hand-rubbed. This will take the blemishes. If you had little dog hair or something in there, it'll probably lift it out in the rubbing process. Start with a very light pressure, increase the pressure. You're using one of those 3M type scrubbies, not a real coarse one. In fact, I've scrubbed the kitchen pots and pans with this until it's softened. I know now they have different toughnesses of grit. And you do this until it dries. Yeah, until it dries. There's a little damp spot. And you have changed it to a matte, a beautiful matte. Now I need to hold it to the light. I see I've got a little shiny spot there. Just rub that down. Little shiny spot there. Just rub that down till it's all even. So I've taken it from a matte, from a semi-gloss back down to an eggshell matte, but it's the feel. It's the feel of the surface. It feels like it's centuries old and has developed that patina that comes through aging. And of course, now that I've got it started, I've got to do the other surfaces. At the end of that, it's finished. Or you could paste wax it if you wanted. And I paste waxed the competition piece afterwards. I did just a very light paste waxing. I used to use Goddard's. That's a very fine wax. Now I use Clapham's. It's a blend. It's a microcrystalline wax, a carnauba wax, and a little beeswax. And I get it from Roger and Annie Clapham, and I love the finish of the wax. If you use too much of the wax, you're going to fingerprint for a while. But if you do it just a little, and I, again, like to put it on with a scrubby and let it sit till it dries, buff it good. Sometimes I use a little pledge over the top, but I must demonstrate that for you so you can see that finish. So here you have a hand-rubbed finish done with flow medium, satin varnish 1:1, and a little old piece of scrubby. Simple, simple finish. Beautiful touch. Beautiful touch.